Hey Reddit. This sucks, but getting it off my chest and hearing others' thoughts has done a lot for my recovery. Some backstory. I met my wife just over 2 years ago upon returning from a military deployment. She's in the military as well and had just moved to the same town for a long-term training syllabus. We hit it off great, better than any other relationship I had been in by a long shot, with plenty of strong defining moments. We've had stupid fights over things like the AC not working, but overall awesome at conflict resolution and not fighting routinely. Just over a year into dating, we moved in together and bought a puppy. That fall, I got her father's permission and proposed. Our families have had a great relationship with us and each other. She then had to move to another state for another 6 months of training before we would be back together. So we got legally married to ensure we'd get orders together, not uncommon in the military. With COVID going on, our leave requests were routinely denied minus the Thanksgiving, Christmas period until both of us were vaccinated. I finally had leave approved and plane tickets to see her the week this all fell apart. While apart, we FaceTimed every night, texted throughout the day, were house shopping for our next duty station together, continued to plan our real wedding in the church and with friends, family, did taxes, watched movies, and plenty more to facilitate the long distance. Hours before I found out about the affair, we were having a conversation about how exciting it is that our period of distance is coming to a close and how strong we were in making it work. Both of us had been in long-distance relationships prior to meeting each other, so we knew how to do it right. Then, I received an odd message from someone on Facebook. Hey, our spouses are fucking each other. I've found pictoots and videos. I ignored it, thinking it was spam and that the next message would be a link for my credit card information or something. Then, hey, call me when you can. Your wife and my husband are fucking each other. I have pics and video on WhatsApp. It's happened 3x, unprotected. They've also said I love you. At this point, I'm realizing this isn't spam, but instead maybe this poor woman is having a weird mental breakdown. I call my wife and ask her to check in on her friend. When mid-phone call, the pictures and videos were sent to me. My knees gave out and the only thing I remember was hearing my wife say, "I'm so sorry. I was never going to tell you." I accidentally knocked a glass off of the counter behind me when I fell and stepped on it. Blood everywhere, but I wasn't even feeling it. I call my boss and tell him I can't come to work tomorrow. I call my mother and my best friend. The bleeding didn't stop by the morning, so I went to the ER, and I received 6 stitches, which just came out this week. My wife called every minute for the next several hours, but I ignored them. Since then, I've had limited contact with my wife other than a couple of phone calls where I do my best to control my emotions and ask why. She says felt an immense amount of guilt about our next duty station. I didn't get the job I wanted, but it wasn't her fault, and claimed she felt pressured whenever I would routinely say it's okay. All I need to be happy is to be with you. She also claims how lonely and purposeless she felt going through her training, and that this other husband was already confiding in her about his unhappy marriage of 16 years with 3 kids. She admits to saying she loved him and that she had an emotional connection with him, but didn't mean it. She just didn't want to hurt him by not saying it back. On my end, she claims I never did anything wrong and that she accepts full blame. I decided that no matter what, I needed a lawyer. He pointed out that under military law, I could charge her and the other husband with adultery and some other crimes, and that they could lose their jobs pretty easily. After plenty of thought and therapy sessions, I decided that vengeance won't solve anything here and that we really just need a clean-cut divorce under civilian law. Since we only got legally married right before my wife moving, we've maintained separate finances and share no assets or debt right now. I've also been the dog's primary caretaker, and he's been registered under my name and state, so I want to keep him. Here's what I keep asking myself. Am I rushing into the divorce? My wife seems truly remorseful and wants to stay together, but I can't tell if she's just feeling shame or actually sorry. My therapist leads me to believe she is very deeply narcissistic and that she needs professional help, and that I need to accept that she's not the woman I thought I married. I wouldn't say I proposed earlier than I would have liked, but we definitely got paper married early to ensure our careers would keep us together. And we're in a very exciting phase of buying a home and planning the real wedding with friends and family. We've tackled many obstacles together throughout our relationship super well, but this is the first one where I feel our team is divided. Either way, I don't want to see her anytime soon after what's happened, let alone buy a house with her or feel like I can trust her when we eventually go on our next deployment. While it may seem quick, I feel like the end result of divorce is the rational option that's best for both of us. If anything, and we were truly meant to be, we can always get remarried, and the real way, since we're still going to the same duty station next anyway. But she needs to get this demon out of her that caused her to go wayward. Fiancé found out that I made him a backup in my relationship. Now he wants to cancel our wedding. Fiancé 28 male wants to end our relationship because I 27 female didn't choose him first. I'm sorry if this whole thing sounds a little rushed, but my fiancé Ryan, who I've been with for 7 years, told me today that he's not sure whether he wants to be with me anymore, and I realize it may sound stupid, but I love him so much. It feels like my world is falling apart around me. I don't know what I can do. This all started a couple days ago when we were celebrating our anniversary. We invited a bunch of people, including one of my closest friends, Ellie. She noticed my fiancé being affectionate towards me and made some stupid comment about how she told me so that Ryan would be better for me than my ex Andy. My fiancé was a little confused and asked Ellie what she meant. Back when I was in college, Andy and Ryan both asked me out to the same event. I'd known Ryan since high school, and we'd always had a thing, but we weren't a couple. On top of that, he went to another college that was a half-hour drive away from me. Andy went to my college. His dorm was a 5-minute walk away, and he was someone completely new. I began to feel like my relationship with Ryan wouldn't be exciting enough because we already knew almost everything about each other, with the added headache of being half an hour away from each other. Despite Li's protests, I decided to go with Andy. I know my reasoning is beyond stupid, but I never thought that this decision had the potential to blow up my future. Ryan was already hurt that I declined his request to go on a date. I didn't want to make him feel worse by telling him that I was going with someone else, not that it mattered, because he stopped talking to me for about 6 months. During this time, it became obvious that me and Andy weren't right for each other, so we ended it. When me and Ryan began talking again, I realized how much I missed him and that he was perfect for me, so I asked him out. He was overjoyed, and that's how we got to this point. For the rest of the party, I could tell that his mood was off. He kept pulling away from my kisses, touches, and responded to me with short one-sentence answers. After the party, when I asked him what was wrong, he just said that he felt sick. For the next 2 days, he continued to be cold and distant. I had no idea what was happening, so I waited patiently for him to become comfortable enough to tell me. Today, he told me the reason he'd been acting off. From the story, it sounded like I had kept him as my backup or plan B in case my relationship with Andy failed, and that it was especially messed up since we'd obviously had feelings for each other long before then. He also said that he deserved to be someone's first choice. I thought that this was just an insecurity that we could get through, but then he went on to say that he's not sure whether he can see our relationship in the same light anymore, so it might be best if we split up. I pleaded with him that we don't need to take it that far and that we should go to counseling or even just live separately for a few days while he thinks about whether this is what he actually wants. So far, he hasn't said anything except that he absolutely refuses to go to therapy. I can tell that this is weighing on him heavily because he's been drinking more than usual, but I don't know what to say to make him feel better. We've had a beautiful relationship. He's never been overly jealous or possessive, and although neither of us are perfect, I couldn't ask for a more loving, respectful, intelligent, and charming soon-to-be husband. I don't understand how all of that could come to an end for a foolish mistake that I made 7 years ago. I don't know exactly what I'm looking for by posting on here, but if anyone has any advice, please let me know.